Yashodhanandana Vraja Janarandana Yashodhanandana Vraja Janarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
No, we want to turn, yeah, we want to turn it down off once we're done. Yeah. And should we bring this down a little? No, through that. There we go. That's good. Accept. There. That should be good, right? I think it should be good. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 That may be better. Srimad Bhagavatam 3:4-33. Vidura api uddhavach shrutva krishnasya paramatmanaha pridayo upata dehasya karmani shlaghitani cha viduropyudhavat shrutva Viduropyudhavat shrutva Krishnasya paramatmanaha Kridayopata dehasya Karmani shlaghitani cha Viduropyudhavach Shrutva
Viduropyudhavachrutva
Krishnasya Paramatmanaha
Krishnasya Paramatmanaha
Hridayopatadehasya
Hridayopatadehasya
Karmani Shlaghitani Cha
Karmani Shlaghitani cha Viduropyudhavachrutva
Viduropyudhavach Shrutva
Krishnasya Paramatmanaha
Krishnasya Paramatmanaha
Hridayopatadehasya
Hridayopatadehasya
Karmani Shlaghitani cha
Karmani Shlaghitani Cha Viduropyudhavach Shrutva Krishnasya Paramatmanaha Hridayopatadehasya Karmani Shlaghitani Cha Viduropyudhavach Shrutva Krishnasya Paramatmanaha Hridayopatadehasya Karmani Shlaghitani Cha. Ladies? Viduropyudhavach Shrutva Krishnasya Paramatmanaha Hridayopatadehasya Karmani Shlaghitani Cha Viduropyudhavach Shrutva Krishnasya Paramatmanaha Hridayopatadehasya Karmani Shlaghitani Cha Viduraha Vidura Api also Uddhavat from the source of Uddhava Shrutva having heard Krishnasya of Lord Krishna Parama Atmanaha of the Super Soul Kridaya for the sake of pastimes in the mortal world Upata extraordinarily accepted Dehasya of the body Karmani transcendental activities Shlaghitani most glorious Cha also Vidura also heard from Uddhava about the appearance and disappearance of Lord Krishna, the Super Soul, in the mortal world, which is a subject matter sought after with great perseverance by the great sages. Purport. The subject matter of the appearance and disappearance of the Super Soul, Lord Shri Krishna, is a mystery, even for the great sages. The word Paramatmanaha is significant in this verse. An ordinary living being is generally called the Atma, but Lord Krishna is never an ordinary living being, because he is Paramatma, the Super Soul. Yet his appearance as one of the human beings and his disappearance again from the mortal world are subject matters for the research workers who execute research work with great perseverance. Such subject matters are certainly of increasing interest because the researchers have to search out the transcendental abode of the Lord, which he enters after finishing his pastimes in the mortal world. But even the great sages have no information that beyond the material sky is the spiritual sky, where Sri Krishna eternally resides with his associates, although at the same time he exhibits his pastimes in the mortal world, in all the universes, one after another. This fact is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita, Goloka eva nivasatya kilatma bhuta. The Lord, by his inconceivable potency, resides in his eternal abode, Goloka. Yet at the same time, as the Supersoul, he is present everywhere, in both the spiritual and material skies, by his multi-varieties of manifestation. Therefore, his appearance and disappearance are simultaneously going on, and no one can say definitely which of them is the beginning and which is the end. His eternal pastimes have no beginning or end, and one has to learn of them from the pure devotee only, and not waste valuable time in so-called research work. Om Jnana Timirantasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurn Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mahyam Tadhati Shapadantikam Bandehang Shri Guru Shri Jatapada Kamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vatam Stam Sadivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Pradijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vancha Kolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhobhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Viduro Pyudhavat Chutva Krishnasya Paramatmanaha Kridiyo Pata Dehasya Karmani Shlaghitani Cha. So Vidura has heard from Uddhava. He'll go on to hear from Maitreya Muni, but something he has heard from Uddhava, Krishnasya, concerning Krishna, the personality of Godhead, Paramatmana. Krishna's identity is distinguished as Paramatma. Every living being is Atma, but Krishna is Paramatma. Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Ego Bohunam Yovididhati Kama Nikatra Upanishad. Among all of the eternal living beings, there's one supreme eternal. Among all of the conscious living entities, there's one supreme conscious living entity. What is the difference? The one is maintaining the many. So there's hierarchy, even on the spiritual platform. Nitya. Nitya means eternal. Eternal means not material. So this is not a material distinction, that there's one and there's many. This is eternally a fact. Among the eternals, there's one supreme eternal. Among the Atmas, there's one Paramatma. So that's Krishna. Krishnasya Paramatma. Therefore, when we speak of Krishna, we're not speaking of an ordinary living being or a mythological, but the Paramatma, the super soul, who's present within the heart of everyone. Ishra Sarvabhutana Hridesirjantishtati. So Krishnasya Paramatma. And Kridiyo Pata Dehasya. He accepted a transcendental form, or he manifested a transcendental form. Upata, extraordinarily accepted. Otherwise, his form does not manifest in this world. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavita. Goloka eva nivasati, he's far away. But he manifests himself in this world, kriya, for the sake of pastimes. In the mortal world, this world is called Martyaloka, the world of birth and death. But Krishna appears to perform wonderful activities to attract the conditioned souls. He comes for different reasons, but especially to attract the conditioned souls. Here I am, with my name, my form, my qualities, my pastimes. And by hearing about the pastimes and qualities of the Lord, one naturally becomes attracted, because karmani shlaghitani cha. Shlaghitani means commendable, glorious. Shlaghitani, not ordinary activities. The ordinary activities are either so what, or abominable, or a little impressive. But Krishna's activities are all glorious. He is lifting the Govardhan hill, is killing the Bhuta and Rakshasi in the very beginning. All of his activities, his Vrindavan activities, his Hastinapur activities, his Dwarka activities, they're all glorious. There's nothing that Krishna doesn't do. There's nothing that Krishna does that's not glorious. So, karmani shlaghitani. And our activities are not so glorious. Not so glorious. So karmani, therefore the business of the conditioned souls, proper business, or the business of the liberated souls, is to celebrate the activities of Krishna. The materialists, proud materialists, they want to celebrate their own activities. How great I am, or else how great we are. Because we're black, because we're white, because we're gay, because we're straight, because we're this, because we're that. We are great. If I can't claim to be great individually, then we are great. A great nation, a great race, a great institution, a great team. So we want to glorify ourselves. Or sometimes we glorify others. Oh, such a great philanthropist, such a great scientist, such a great rock star, such a great this. But it's all misdirected. We're glorifying someone who's present just for a few moments and does his nonsense and leaves. But Krishna, his activities are called Nitya Leela. And Srila Prabhupada explains here, Nitya Leela, they're always going on. Every activity is always going on somewhere. When Krishna's finished killing Putana in this universe, he starts killing Putana in another universe. When he's dancing on the Kaliya Nag's hoods in this universe, then immediately he's finished one step, that step now is going on in the next universe, that step again, next universe, next universe, next universe. So it's all going on. And you know, if you try to figure it out, that means his activities at 9 a.m. are going on here, and his 9:01 in the next universe and 9:02, like that. The sun is always moving, so you're always getting little, what would you say, slight difference as it moves from place to place. But it doesn't disappear from those other places. It's going on until it disappears in one place, but then it's appearing in another place. So there's never a time we say the sun sets, but the sun never sets. Our vision sets. Our ability to see the sun disappears, but it's always going on, performing its pastimes of rising and setting before our eyes. Otherwise, the sun is always the same. For us, there's rising, there's setting. For the sun, no such thing. Never gets dark on the sun. So his activities are nitya from that point of view, and also because he's performing these same activities in the spiritual world. They're always going on. So from both angles, Nitya Leela. These topics, Srila Prabhupada said, are great topics for research work. The sages, the sages are trying with great perseverance to understand the activities of Krishna. His appearance and disappearance are subject matters for the research workers who execute research work with great perseverance. And they're increasingly interesting. We see this, that there are scholars. This has happened due to Prabhupada's influence. When Prabhupada first came, there were like 1 or 2 scholars of Gaudiya Vaishnavism in America. There was Professor O'Connell up in Canada, and at Franklin and Marshall, Tom Hopkins. Maybe that was it. Now, so many scholars of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. When you read about Hinduism in the encyclopedia or somewhere, textbook, hardly, you wouldn't even find Gaudiya Vaishnavism. It would just be, there's Brahma, there's Vishnu, there's Shiva, they believe in reincarnation, blah, 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 blah. And you wouldn't find anything about Gaudiya Vaishnava. Mostly you'd find out about the Hindus believe that everything comes from one eternal reality, and everything, that reality is everything, we find Advaita Vad. Now, you can't write anything without mentioning Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaudiya Vaishnavism. It's a serious force to be taken into account. I mention this because Prabhupada says it's of increasing interest to the research workers. The scholars of Hinduism have found that, oh, this other stuff is so dry. So much of these other paths are so dry. But this is tasty to hear about Krishna and his activities in Vrindavan, with the Gopas and the Gopis and all of this. They can't fully understand it because they don't take to the process for understanding Although some of them even go that far now. We've seen that some of the research workers have said, this is good, I want to do this. I want to do this. Otherwise, even those who've not yet come to that point, they want to talk about Krishna. You go to, they're giving papers and giving scholarly disquisitions, and they're writing books about Krishna. Because Krishna is attractive. Even if we don't understand him fully, he's attractive. The bottle of honey, Prabhupada said, licking on the bottle of honey, but the bottle is attractive. We know there's something in there. Even if we can't taste it, we've heard about it, we see it, we know that other people are tasting it, we're attracted. Licking on the bottle, we won't get the taste, but we know there's something there, so we're attracted. So even the mundane scholars are attracted to Krishna, and they do their research work to find out something about Krishna. If they take the empiric process, they won't find out so much. They'll find something, but they won't really be able to penetrate into the transcendental reality. They'll be skimming on the surface. But still they're attracted. Even superficial understanding of Krishna is so attractive that the scholars want to go on talking about Krishna. And I was thinking of something else. Yeah. Even there was one publisher in India, religious publisher, and Prabhupada said he's a Mayavadi, but he can't go on being Mayavadi very long because he's also worshipping Radha Krishna. He has Radha Krishna deities. He's a Mayavadi, but he's attracted to Radha Krishna, so he can't go on being a Mayavadi. On the higher platform, the Kumaras were great sages. We're talking about ordinary scholars, but the Kumaras were great sages, researching the absolute truth. And by good fortune, they came in touch with the personality of Godhead, and they understood, here's the real object of our search. Even the great sages, Muhyanti at Surya, are unable to understand the transcendental world. Natad pasyate suryo nashashanko napavaka. It's a transcendental place, but one can go there. Not by research work. Not by research work, but by the pleasure of the Lord. When Krishna is pleased, then, what is that? Na chirat parta maya veshata chetasam. What's the beginning? Okay. Yetu sarvani karmani mayi sanyasya mat paraha ananye naiva yogena mam jayanta upasate tesham aham samudharta mrityu sangsara sagarat bhavami nachirat parta maya veshata chetasam. There are devotees, there are the Mayavadis who undergo so much trouble. Klesho digataras-tesham avyakta sakta chetasam. They're trying to be attached to something that's inconceivable, unperceivable, diffuse, formless, without name, without qualities. They're trying to attach themselves to that and just going through trouble and more trouble, klesha and tikataras. But on the other hand, too, those who dedicate all of their activities to Krishna, sarvani karmani, matparaha, intent on Krishna, making Krishna the goal of life, mayi sanyasya, sacrificing everything for Krishna, ananyena eva yogena, being engaged in bhakti yoga, pure bhakti yoga, ananyena eva, without any mixture, jnana karma janavatam. And mam jayanta upasate, always engaged in devotional service, thinking of me, meditating on me, chanting my holy name. Tesham aham samudharta mrityu samsara sagarat. For them, I'm the person who delivers them from the ocean, sagara, of mrityu samsara, of death and rebirth, death and rebirth. Bhavami, na chirat, when? Soon. Na chirat. Chirat means after a long time. Na chirat, not after a long time, soon. Why? Mai aveshata chetasam, because their minds are absorbed in me. The devotees are not wasting their time. They're taking the quick route. The research workers and the impersonalists, they're taking the long, slow road to understanding the truth. They're taking the long, slow road. But those who dedicate themselves to Krishna get the mercy of Krishna. And Krishna soon frees them from this, delivers them, uplifts them from the ocean of birth and death. Maya veshata chetasam. They're always thinking of Krishna. Krishna's always thinking of them. Yayatamam prapadyante tam tataiva bhajamiham. So this is the process. We're not wasting time. We're engaging our time profitably, purposefully, on the quick road, straight road. Straight road, because this is our eternal business. The Mayavadis and the research workers, they have to go through this and this and this and this to try to distinguish this from that and finally come to this and maybe that. But the devotees at once adopt their eternal identity. Jivar Swarupoi Krishna Nityadas. I'm Krishna's servant. Let me begin. Let me serve. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atman Nivedanam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Some questions, comments? Or not? Yes, you go, Kishore Prabhu.
You said Krishna's pastimes. Krishna kills Putana in one planet and then after some time the same thing repeats in another planet. The second, is it parallel, simultaneous, or Krishna has to finish his pastime?
How is this going on? I said that Krishna, when something's done in one universe, it goes on in the next universe. Yet it's not that the whole act goes on, that there's the killing of Putana, that whole pastime, and then, okay, now we finish the show, so we go to the next universe and we begin, and Putana enters the Vrindavan and then winds up getting killed and her body gets burned, and okay, now we finish that, we go to the next universe. No, each little piece. You can't, therefore it staggers the mind. It's staggered, universe to universe, and it staggers the mind. No one can figure out in how many universes is this going on? And every little thing, as soon as, Krishna closes his eyes because he doesn't want to see her in one universe, next universe closes his eyes. Then the next. And it's seamless. It's not staccato or broken up into, I said pieces, but it's not really broken into pieces. It's continuous. And again, like the sun is continuously manifesting each of its features. It's continuously manifesting 1 o'clock, 1:01, 1:02, 1:03. But if you broke it down, it's continuously manifesting 1 o'clock and 1 minute and 30 seconds. And you could break it down further into sub-seconds or something, because it's always just smoothly moving from, the west from the east to the west. So Krishna's moving like that from universe to universe to universe, and all of those things are happening in all of those innumerable universes. And that's only one universe, by the way. So Krishna's moving from universe to universe, to universe, to universe, to universe, to universe. We're in only one universe, but Krishna's moving through so many innumerable universes, no one can figure it out. And that's also one incarnation. Krishna's appearing as Krishna, he's appearing as Ramchandra, he's appearing as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's appearing as Matsya, Kurma, Varaha. He's doing all that. So he has his own pastimes going on in this way. Then he has his Ram Lila going on, he has his Kurma Lila, his Matsya Lila, all that's going on. At the same time, he's present in the heart of every living being. So he's got that going on. Your heart, your heart, your heart. Every living being's heart. And he's within the atoms, between the atoms, Andantarasta, Paramana, Chantarasta. And he's in Goloka Vrindavan, performing those pastimes there. Goloka Eva Nivasatya Kilatma Bhuta. He's always there in Goloka Vrindavan, but he's everywhere. Therefore, Paramatmana. We can't do that. I'm present in one little body, in one little universe, in one little corner of Brooklyn. And that's the whole story. I'm not simultaneously doing something else. Nor am I simultaneously, none of those other things. I'm just here slogging it out. I'm here slogging it out. Or I'm here pretending that I'm an incarnation of God. What idiocy. And people are accepting some fool as an incarnation of God because he can do a little magic on this planet. Or because he opens a lot of hospitals, people think he must be God. Krishna didn't open any hospitals. Still he's God. God has better things to do than opening hospitals. And putting on magic shows for children.
There's a question online.
All right.
Asking, what is the platform that Mayavadis fall down from? Is it actually Brahman realization?
What's the platform that Mayavadis
Fall down from?
Fall down from? Is it actually Brahman realization? Yes. Aruya Krichena Param Padam, Param Padam. They attain not just, Brahmaloka or something. Param Padam. They attain the supreme station, the supreme destination. That means the spiritual world. But Patantyadho, they fall down again. Why? Padam tataha patantyadho anadrata yushmadagraya, because they've neglected the lotus feet of Krishna. So they're artificially in the spiritual world. It's not they're not in their natural position. They've forced their way into subduing their identity. They've, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur uses the expression that they hold their identity in abeyance, which means on hold. And when you put a call on hold, it's still there. And at any time, if you press the wrong button, hello? I thought you were gone. No, I'm still here. So they're trying to extinguish their individuality, because individuality leads to desire, desire leads to clinging, clinging leads to suffering. And so if we don't want to suffer, we have to stop clinging. If we want to stop clinging, we have to get free from desire. If we want to get rid of desire, we have to get rid of this individual identity. That's the program of the Mayavadis. But the individual identity, nitya, shashvatoya, purana. It's eternal. It doesn't, nahangate hangyamane sharire, it doesn't die with the body, but it doesn't die because you did some Mayavadi exercises. You can hold it down. There was a dispatch about, it's a little tangential, but there was a deployment of American troops in Vietnam, and there was, on a hill, there was a sniper, and he was shooting at them. So they, shot a whole battery of stuff at him, but he came back shooting. Then they threw something else at him, came back shooting. Then they sent the planes in, the planes dropped all this on, still shooting. Whatever they did, the guy was still shooting at them. They couldn't stop. When the dust cleared, still he was there. Anyway, that's crudely what happens. The Mayavadis, they try this, they try that, anything to get rid of that pesky self, that persistent, whimsical, bewildered, contaminating self. Anything, let's try this, try this, try this meditation, that meditation, this meditation, that meditation, this method, that, this austerity, this. Still it keeps coming back. Finally they get rid of it, they merge with Brahman, and then again it comes back. Because it's always there. It can't be cut, can't be dried, can't be blown away, can't be withered, can't be this, can't be that. He's still there. You can't even get rid of him by meditation. He stays. He's always existing. Nitya, shashvata. And avikarya, he doesn't change. It's not that today he's an individual, tomorrow he won't be an individual. He still stays the individual. Mami vangsha. He remains a part of Krishna, even though he's claiming to be not a part of Krishna, or finally to be one with the whole. It's artificial, so he falls down. Param padam, from the supreme world, the transcendental world, he falls down. He's not really there, because he's not taking part in the activities. Prabhupada gave the example of a convalescent patient. A patient is in the hospital and he's suffering, but then he gets free from the disease. But he's not healthy. As long as he's lying in the hospital bed, even though he may be, on the chart, you can say he's not symptomatic, he's recovered, but he's not a healthy man. When he goes back home and he begins working and eating and having sex and all those things, then he's healthy. Either he has to do that or he'll relapse. If you're lying in the hospital bed on and on, what happens? You relapse. You can't, that's not life. That's not life. They find that actually, that so many patients, they're, once they're in the hospital, they can't make it. Because they're not in real life, they're not in healthy life. So real cure means healthy life. Healthy life means Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasam. Means activities with Krishna, our eternal activities. Then we're healthy. Otherwise, when we're trying to stop all activities, even the activities of the mind, because they're so painful, right? Activities of the mind are painful. Desires are painful. The results of desires are painful. I have to work, I have to suffer, I have to endure so many indignities. The ass gets kicked in the face by the she-ass because he's addicted to desires. If I could only give up the desires, how do I give them up? If I could only extinguish my identity, that would do it. But he can't. The program doesn't work. And so much trouble. I mean, just to read a few Mayavadi books, that's a lot of trouble already. But actually to do all that meditation, to do those austerities, to somehow or other reach such an elevated state that you can go to and merge with Brahman, how much trouble. Adhikatara stage. So trouble upon trouble upon trouble. And then you get there and then down. Maybe after, of course there's no time there, but sooner or later, as we say, down. After all that trouble. Prabhupada gave the example of some of these satellites that we send into space. Sooner or later they have to be attracted to something. They'll get attracted by the gravity of some planet. They can't just float indefinitely. That's not their business. As soon as there's gravity, so either they fall back down to earth or they take shelter of some planet. So the Mayavadis, they don't want to go back to Godhead because there's activities of service which they're averse to. They don't want to serve. Otherwise they could have just taken this path, they could have become devotees. They'd rather snuff out their individuality than serve. What is that? Before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave, right? I'd rather die than be a slave. And servant means slave, so I don't want to be a servant. I'd rather commit suicide than serve. So this is their position. They'd rather commit spiritual suicide than serve Krishna. They're that averse. So then how can they enter Goloka Vrindavan? They don't want to, and they're not fit to. So then what gravity attracts them? The gravity of the material world. Come back here. Something else?
No, there's another question.
There is.
Yes. What about the devotees like Arjuna, Prahlad, and so on? Are they also manifesting simultaneously along with Krishna in all the universes, even the demons? Absolutely amazing and inconceivable.
Are the devotees like Prahlad and Arjun also manifesting along with Krishna in universe after universe, and even the demons? Yes. We hear, even on this planet, Krishna was traveling with some sages, and he got 2 invitations, one from a king, Bahulashva, another from a Brahmin, Shrutadev. So what do you do when you get 2 conflicting invitations? If you're Krishna, you expand yourself in 2 and you accept both invitations. And the associates of Krishna did the same thing. By Krishna's arrangement, they also became, another set of sages. And then they went to both places. So Krishna is never alone. He doesn't just go from universe to universe alone. Everybody goes with him. Everybody goes with him. So yes, it's amazing, as the devotee said. Even the demons, by Krishna's arrangement, is like a road show, where there's a theater, and place after place they set up and do the whole thing. Anything else?
I was just curious about Krishna's appearing. I think in 5th canto, in a purport it's mentioned, and also that Krishna will appear in every species in order to benefit all the different living entities. But it seems that when Krishna appears in, like, as a turtle, it's not to benefit all the turtles, it's to benefit humans. When he appears as a fish, it's not to benefit the fish, but humans. Maybe there's some like Shanta, there's some
When there's a statement by Prahlad that you appear in every species of life, and Prabhupada said to benefit the members of that species. But it seems that when he appears as a tortoise, as a fish, and so on, he really benefits the human beings. But Prabhupada said that even when the Lord Matsya was there in the water, then the other fish were attracted. Who is this? So we're having enough difficulty understanding what we already think we know. Now to understand Krishna's activities in the lower species of life and how he deals with them and how he benefits them. That's going to tax our brains still further. But the human beings get special benefit because they can hear about all these things. The fish can't hear Srimad Bhagavatam and relish all these activities or try to understand these things. But the human beings, they don't hear about Krishna. The fish don't hear about Krishna's pastimes as a human being. But the human beings can hear about Krishna's pastimes as a fish and as a tortoise and all these things. So this was the most beneficial species, human life. We should take full advantage of it. And our time has come. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Samaveta